Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in your time zone. I know we have people from India on here. We have people from California. We're east meets west. Super excited to have you guys on today. I'm Lois Kofi, and I wanted to start with one of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn, who's one of the greatest of all time when it comes to sales training, emotional intelligence. And he always said, disciplining your disappointments is really a huge part of business and success and life. And today I get to discipline my disappointment of not you getting to see me. But the good news is you don't really need to see me. We are going to dive right in to our topic of the day. Today's topic is the fortune is in the follow-up. And really it's about lead generation and prospecting. I know this month Deepak and I have tag teamed. We've talked about a variety of things, specifically time management and model work week, and how you construct your hours and your days is really the bottom line. How you will show success. Show me your calendar, and I'll know whether or not you're successful. Right. So being intentional with that non-renewable asset called time. We really also value your time here being and choosing to be with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in to the content, sharing my screen. Take notes. I'm going to be talking for, roughly about 20 minutes, as we always do. And then from there, I'm going to be going into open Q&A and answering your valuable questions. So hold your questions to the end. We want to make sure we cover those. So my hope is you'll see my screen right now. If you have any challenges, please shoot me a private message on the chat feature. But every sales process starts with lead generation. We've shared the sales mountain image with you guys before. This is something I coach people on one-on-one, and that's why we started the month off with focusing on your time management, your energy management, because again, that's the mindset. Mindset is very important in business and in life. And then once you master that mindset and understanding your time is precious, every minute, every hour really counts, especially if you're following my 12-week year concepts. But within that, what do you do with your time? How do you choose in the sales process? Because you're all salespeople and entrepreneurs and business owners in some way, shape, or form. No matter what you're selling, no matter what your business is, you start with lead generation. Once you find that lead, you set the appointment. Once you have the appointment, you build trust and rapport. I could do a 30-minute training on this alone. But once you get through all the way to the top, the ideal, of course, is that you have a sale. But how do you get to the top? How do you get to that ultimate sweet spot, that top 20% where you're finalizing things and you're asking referrals, you've sealed the deal, you've got cash and check in hand? Well, first and foremost, we know that, and here's some really, I think sometimes humbling, eye-opening statistics, the sales stats that show you why most people in sales don't make it is because they get the lead and they never follow up. And it's about 1 in 2. About half of people, and I've been in sales, guys, for 20 years. I've sold a variety of things, everything from real estate to fitness packages, nutritional products. I've been recruited by companies to be a sales developer, and that's what I do day in and day out. So I witness this. I see people at networking events, they grab a business card, and inevitably it ends up in the trash or on a pile of paper somewhere or in a filing cabinet. Maybe if you're lucky, it'll get into the CRM, but then you still have to or get to choose to open that CRM, client relationship manager, every day in order to take that. It's almost like a dating process. I really love comparing the sales process to courting that relationship. Dating, and ideal, of course, for a lot of us, dating leads to a long-term committed relationship, right? Same thing with your sales or your business, or even if you're finding a job. This all applies to this process. So think back when you were, dating, or, maybe if you're just thinking about friendships, doesn't have to be a, romantic relationship. How did you become a good friend? Did you see that person once and never again? Not at all, right? I just lost my brother this month. He passed away, and I didn't realize. A lot of people said he was always the first one to pick up the phone. He was always the first one to stop by my house. He was always the one who wanted to put the people together. And I honestly have been programmed since I was a kid, because he was my older brother, and essentially helped raise me for the most part. And I was conditioned to pick up the phone, get the group together, connect, ask that person, how are you doing? And that is the key to this process, to this success. It's not one and done. You got to follow up. The fortune is always in the follow up. And then, of course, how you're following up is potentially something we'll talk about today. I don't want to run out of time, but there's going to be a variety of things that I want you to be able to connect with on today's call. So just to remind you of that mindset also, is what holds people back is that fear of rejection, right? That inability to really know, what is this person gonna think? Are they gonna like me? There's all these things that can be part of your subconscious mind. And I teach people to go through this process on the right hand side of this screen. If you can see it, fear of rejection is the single greatest reason that people don't make money. And it says in this business, but any business, is you want to be able to have this mindset of going out and inviting rejection. So if someone says no to you on the first meeting, which again, that's more of a hunter philosophy. We've talked about farming versus hunting, but overcoming that fear, you get it the first time and it might bother you, but then you keep going, right? You discipline your disappointments and you never give up. You make that disappointment is really about you, right? It's not about them. It may not be their right time. They may have, just had a really off week. Maybe you haven't shared enough value, because it's all about sharing your value and showing them the benefit of whatever it is that you offer, or that reasons why they would want to work with you. So after you get over it, right? Step 2 is you get it and it doesn't bother you. Step 3 is you get it and you turn it to your advantage. I have a great example of that. Yesterday, I was talking to someone and they were not interested in my product or service. And I said, okay, great. Do you mind giving me referrals? And they were really positive about that. And they gave me a referral. So just because I got a no, I still got a whole new lead out of that didn't cost me any money. In fact, it leveraged my time. That no became a duplication process. And then, of course, number 4 is you get it and you have fun with it. A lot of times you can gamify. Go for No is a great book. If you haven't read it, check it out. Go for No. But I even have, and I've shared this in one of our past calls. If you haven't found this document yet, let me know. I shared it inside of our private Facebook group. If you're part of this coaching program, we do have a lot of files inside of our private Facebook group. If you're attending for the first time today and you don't know what I'm talking about, shoot me a message and I will add you for free for 2 weeks to our private Facebook group. Then, of course, there is a monthly charge, and that's entirely up to you if you want to continue. But if you gamify it, I have check marks on my spreadsheet, my document that I track. And I go for, depending on the day, I go for 6 or 7 no's every day. Because statistically, if you remember from that slide previously, these numbers actually apply to a variety of things. If you keep going for 4, 5, 6, 7 no's, statistically it has been proven that you'll get a yes. So again, that's another part of the mindset of what I'm talking about today. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually jump ahead to another slide. Bear with me a second here. Okay. So this is one of my signature talks, and really the meat of the call today. This is what I'm going to share for the next, hold on one second. Did you guys have the password? Did that end up working for you guys? Some people.
Password for what?
You didn't need a password to get in today's call, did you?
No.
Okay. Yeah, someone's having issues with that. Bear with me a second. All right. Okay, we're to go. I'm gonna keep this show on the road. So this is what I teach people who work with me one-on-one. And again, I'll put these slides inside of our private Facebook group as well, so you can download it under the files section. But when I was in real estate, I learned this process, and I've never ever dropped it. And it's helped me excel at a high level, no matter what I was selling. As long as I stuck to this campaign, I would be one of the top salespeople. I would create whatever it is that I wanted. And this is something that now is big with email marketing campaigns. There's a boatload of people out there who are doing LinkedIn training and this, that, and the other. And the most important thing is obviously, how do you find the lead? You know, that's another training for another day. This is the follow-up process to get them up that sales mountain. So there was a study done in a real estate study where there was a subdivision where they created a fictitious real estate person, not a John, we'll call him John Doe. And John Doe obviously wasn't real, but they sent out 8 direct mail pieces, 8 weeks consecutively. And they had different messages on each one. But basically the idea was, hey, when you're going to list your house, you're going to list with John Doe. And ultimately okay, thank you for that note. Ultimately they called everyone in the subdivision, and they were able to get a hold of a majority of the people, and they asked them, who would you end up listing your home with if you sold your house today? And 80% of the people said John Doe, even though they actually never received a phone call. I think that's a little bit crazy to think about. They never met him, right? But it also showed the consistency over a short period of time. He was fresh in their mind. Now, if they actually could have called him and listed with him, that's a whole nother, closing conversation. But it was that consistency. And I will tell you, in my journey, no matter what I was selling, even in real estate, if I met someone, my goal and your goal, anytime you meet with someone, and obviously you don't have to work with everyone, you want to be selective, but your goal within that first or second or third or fourth or fifth meeting is to have them see you as the expert in your field. Have them see you as the person they need to go to for whatever it is that you're offering up. So this campaign is an example. I'm going to give you actually 4 minutes. Okay, this is a working session, guys. This is a working session. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to put together your own start of an 8x8 campaign. When you just think about this, when you meet with someone, how are you going to follow up? Are you going to call? Are you going to email? Are you going to add them to an email campaign, of course, asking for their permission? Are you going to put them on a mailing list? If you see some of these examples here, and I have just started the timer, so 4 minutes starting now. How do you stay relevant? How do you stay visible? I would dare to say that Facebook is one option. Facebook for me is definitely a drip campaign. LinkedIn, posting 1 article a week. But the only thing I don't like about that is it's passive. It's not direct. Unless you have your own private Facebook group and you add them, or if you have your own private LinkedIn group and you add them, or if you have a WhatsApp group, whatever form of level of communication you use, how do you stay in touch? How do you find and create value? And can you do it over an 8-week period? So we got just under 3 minutes. Go ahead and start writing out. If you don't already have a system, this is perfect. This will get you starting. And this is duplicatable. If you have a sales team, you can help them with this. If you have any questions, you can shoot me a message. I'm looking at the chat right now. Perfect. Wonderful. Yeah, those are all great ideas. I hope you guys are writing down on your side, you know, step 1, step 2, 3, all the way through 8 is the goal. That's great, Deepak. We have 45 more seconds, and Deepak, I may actually have you come off of mute and explain what you just said. So in 36 seconds, go ahead and wrap it up. The ultimate goal is, even if they say no, is that you are 100% still their guy or gal who knows how to get things. If you've seen the movie Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite movies of all time, actually second favorite movie of all time, Morgan Freeman was the guy. All right. That was our timer. Deepak, do you want to come off mute and share?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Louis. I think it was very intuitive. And in fact, of the first couple of points, I was just wondering what to write next. And then I was trying to see how do I really do it. So LinkedIn messaging, WhatsApp in India is very famous. Phone call and email, of course, is the normal ones. But beyond 1 or 2 weeks, finding parallel reasons to interact, there could be common events, functions, business meetings, networking meetings, which enable us to meet the prospective clients, and have a very neutral ground without selling ourselves, etc. Alternate reasons to build trust. So getting again parallel friends, connections, and that again builds a lot of bonding amongst them. So it makes it look very subtle, and beyond 1 or 2 weeks, there's no point in they know what you're doing, etc. It's all about building trust, and trust and relationship. Of course, listening carefully to his or her needs and then working on it through the course of the 8 weeks. So, on 8 weeks time, I think beyond the first week, you would really start. Once you realize that this person is a prospect and there is there's an ability for him to sign up with you in whatever manner. I think the remaining 6 weeks is just building relationship in whatever manner possible and enabling him to feel trustworthy in us. And I think I'll hand it over to John Swan because he has some amazing points. So I thought he can actually, take off on some of the points that is there. John, are you around?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Deepak. Hey guys, I'm John Swan. I assist Lois in outreach, and what I posted was a campaign that I use for another coach that I work for, Lucas Root, and it's from Advance Your Reach. And I was trying to remember all the steps, and I just jumped onto the I have a PDF that I use to remind me. And it's a really this is a 30-day. It's a little different format than what you were saying, Lois. Although it's still certain steps over a certain amount of time. And so over 4 weeks, you confirm the contact information, and this is in the context of seeking out stages to speak on. And then Lucas has a speaker box, which contains his bio and all the things he talks about. Then he uses this thing called BombBomb, which is a video messaging app. And it's great because it allows you to send a really quick video, and it allows you to see who has viewed the video. And then there's just a bunch of other templates that we use. You could see social media engagement, the Woo phone call, the Why Me email. I could share more, but it's a really well developed process for gaining stages. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I was trying to come off mute. It wasn't happening fast enough. That's great. Yeah, and that's where you gotta find what works for you and test it. And really, just like personal fitness and health, it does take about a 60 to 90-day window to test and reassess. That's what we also talk about, is just reflecting, knowing your numbers, knowing how many no's you're getting, how many yeses, what's working and what's not, free from judgment, and tweaking and modifying things as you go along. That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, I want to chime in. I think testing is so important, and tweaking things as you go. I feel like that's half my job with Lucas is getting to a certain step and then, oh, this didn't really work, or I didn't like that, and just making the change and going from there and testing, like you said.
Excellent. Does anybody else have, and I know we had some technical issues, so we really, if you're just joining us, we are focusing on the 8x8 campaign today, and the fortune is in the follow-up and how you stay visible and credible and relevant within your network and within people, and how do you really become the expert. And a lot of times it's massive action over a short period of time. Does anybody have any questions, challenges about that specific area of your business? This time is for you guys. I know one area that people typically struggle in is just, even just the data entry, having and knowing the right CRM for you. If you guys ever have questions on that, feel free to reach out to us in the private Facebook group. That's what that group is for. Deepak and I really want to have way more engagement in there, so that we know what your struggles are, what your victories are, what you're looking for in our training every Thursday too. So if you have any ideas of what you'd want us to cover next week, Thursday, we'd be happy to go over that. Does anybody have any other thoughts or challenges or things that work best for you when it comes to following up and getting people up that sales mountain and getting to that sweet spot and being able to close them effectively? No questions? Let me see if I have, bear with me a second.
Lois,
Yes.
please
Good
don't take
morning.
the silence as I've got it all together. You know better. I just feel like I'm kind of flustered just getting in a little late, and I just want to, go back and watch the replay and, you know.
Yes, no problem. 100%. I totally get it. I'll have the replay out today.
Okay.
So that's the most important thing is the replay will be helpful. And if nobody else has anything, Deepak, do you have anything else to add? We got 4 minutes. I have a couple more slides that I can share.
I think a lot of points have come in. Of course, very unique points of following up. I got from this particular model, which John also mentioned. Speaker box, never heard of it, and bomb again. That's the first time. So amazing ones. But I think you have to be quite creative in sustaining an 8-week relationship. It's almost like dating somebody. So it's a little difficult to sustain. So dating is easy. You always have reasons. Flowers, gifts, and chocolates. But a prospect is a little more difficult because he or she always sees you as trying to hunt out for business. So that makes it a little challenging, and we need to have more and more creative methods to do it.
Absolutely. And that's what I coach on one-on-one is finding that way to be able to not be the weird stalker person, the used car salesman, creating items of value, creating that credibility and thoughtfulness is just, hey, here's an example. After you take copious notes of meeting with that person and you find out things that they like, even if it's not related to what you do, let's say they were talking about the latest keto diet and you found an article about it and you're like, hey, I thought about you and your passion for health. I thought you'd like to check this out. Hope you're having an amazing day. It's those little things. And believe it or not, that's where I'm old school. Again, I got this from my brother, phone calls, just saying, hey, I thought about you today. How are you? How is life? That's my easiest go-to, because in this current social media economy, people don't pick up the phone anymore. And it's really sad. They think, oh, I'll just put a Facebook friend, happy birthday, or a message or a text. And that's all fine and good. But getting someone on the phone and just really saying, how are you today? Or leaving a message on WhatsApp, that can be helpful too. A voice to voice is I think it's a foregone conclusion. It's lost in the shuffle. A personal note, thanks to Mary, I got a sympathy note from her that was above and beyond how many thousands of people that I know, and I got like 2 cards in the mail. It really shows how our world is changing and evolving. So I wouldn't overthink it, you guys. Sometimes the simplest touches are the ones that people will remember about you. I get it all the time. I saw a gal yesterday and she's like, yeah, Lois, you were so good at following up. And I've only known her since December. And it's because I use this campaign with as many people as possible. I'm not perfect. I do drop the ball. But this is the final slide to show you. To remember the 8x8 campaign, or whatever you want to call it, your follow-up program is not gonna do itself. Even if you buy into, I just attended a LinkedIn webinar yesterday, and I know they were essentially selling something that can help you with additional follow-up. But really, if you set your own goal of how many leads you want, how many hours you're going to use for follow-up, and scheduling that actual time to follow up, and if you can't do it, finding an assistant and outsourcing it can also help. But just making sure you put this into your calendar, your model work week, whether you're following the 12-week year or not. Just make sure you never, ever forget the follow-up, because a lot of times people will have their hour or whatever time they put to lead generation to find the leads and create the leads. I call that a professional lead generator. However, if you don't have the scheduled time to follow up, you just wasted a lot of time, money, and business cards. So those are my thoughts for today. Always welcome your feedback. It is 8:30 Pacific time. So we're going to go ahead and end this call. I do have one of my favorite quotes that I always like to share here at the end of a presentation. If I can share the slide, and I've shared it before, but just want to remind you guys, do one thing every day that scares you. That might just be following up with leads. That might just be targeting your chicken list, the people that you haven't called yet. I challenge you to do one thing today that gets you out of your comfort zone, whether it's going for 5 no's, whether it's, again, calling that prospect that you dropped the ball on, who's actually wanted you to follow up and life got in the way and you just didn't follow up. Let us know. I'd love to hear from you by the end of today. What did you do today that scared you, that was outside your comfort zone? Thanks, guys, for spending the last 30 minutes with us. I wish you all the best, and we'll see you again next week.